Remember Walter Matthau cracking a beer while Misfit Kids fumbled through a 26-0 blowout? Behind those laughs sat desperate casting gambles and last-minute rewrites nobody saw coming. Today we're counting down 15 weird facts you never knew about the Bad News Bears. Number 15. Walter Matthau as Morris Buttermaker is one of those performances so perfectly matched to a role that it is almost impossible to imagine anyone else in it. That rumpled posture, the beer-in-hand indifference, the buried warmth underneath the gruff exterior, it all feels inevitable. Here's the thing, it was anything but. Matthau was reportedly the third choice for the role. Producer Stanley R. Jaffe confirmed that Steve McQueen passed on it entirely. Warren Beatty initially agreed before withdrawing to dedicate his time to Reds. Tatum O'Neal was not heartbroken. She later said of McQueen, "I doubt he would have done it. Not so funny, old Steve." Jaffe explained that the pressure to attach a big name came from Paramount's release calendar. The studio already had expensive productions in the pipeline, including King Kong, and needed something to anchor a leaner picture. Think about what either of those choices would have produced. McQueen's Buttermaker would have been cool and magnetic. Beatty's version would have come loaded with self-awareness. Neither would have given you the hangdog, world-weary humanity that Matthau invented entirely on his own. The role fit him like a broken-in glove because nobody else wanted to put it on first. Every weary line Matthau delivers carries the weight of that near miss. But while Buttermaker's casting was uncertain, the kid standing beside him had her own battle just to get on the field. Number 14. Amanda Wurlitzer's blazing curveball is the turning point of the entire film. The moment she winds up and sends the ball past a stunned batter is when the Bears stop being a punchline and start becoming something. It is a beautiful piece of movie magic. Emphasis on magic. Tatum O'Neal was already an Academy Award winner when she auditioned, but the producers still made her throw at a field near Coldwater Canyon. Producer Stanley R. Jaffe did not sugarcoat the assessment. He recalled, "She wasn't very good, but she tried. We decided we could get around it." Getting around it meant using a male stunt double for the most demanding pitching angles, shot from behind so the substitution would not register. O'Neal trained for several weeks to build convincing mechanics for the close-up work, but the workaround was always part of the plan. The production wanted her post-Paper Moon star power alongside Matthau, and was willing to engineer solutions around her limitations. The result is that the film's most iconic baseball sequence is a construction. Watch the over-the-shoulder pitching shots closely and compare them to the close-up work. The body type shifts slightly between angles. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. The choice to cast for chemistry over athletic ability had consequences the production solved creatively. As for why the screenplay understood that kind of underdog struggle so deeply, that story is more personal than most people expected. Number 13. One of the things that separates the Bad News Bears from every other underdog sports film is how genuinely it captures the experience of being the kid nobody wants on their team. Not the lovable screw-up, just the kid who does not belong and knows it. That specificity came from a very real place. Screenwriter Bill Lancaster grew up as the son of Hollywood legend Burt Lancaster. He also grew up playing Little League with a leg weakened by polio. He knew exactly what it felt like to stand on a field where the game was not designed for someone like him. His agent, Ben Benjamin, had actually coached against Bill when they were children. According to the AFI catalog, citing the Los Angeles Times, Benjamin brought the script to Paramount and sold it for $105,000. There is something fitting about the man who once coached against him being the one who brought the story to the world. Buttermaker was reportedly shaped in part by Burt Lancaster's gruff personality. Amanda carried traces of Bill's own experience as a kid who had to prove himself on a field that did not want him there. The underdog empathy running through every scene is not formula, it is lived experience on the page. The team's specific shame, not just losing, but being dismissed before the game even starts, reads completely differently once you understand where it came from. And even the jersey they wore was making its own quiet statement. Number 12. The moment the Bears take the field in those mustard yellow jerseys, something happens without a word being spoken. Every other team wears colors borrowed from real major league clubs. They carry the legitimacy of established franchises. And then there are the Bears, trotting out under the name of a bail bondsman. That was not an accident. Production designer Polly Platt made a deliberate choice to make the Bears the only team in the league without a respectable sponsor. The contrast with every other uniform communicates their social position before a single pitch is thrown. Platt brought serious visual intelligence to the project. She had worked with director Peter Bogdanovich on The Last Picture Show and Paper Moon. Two films that use design to carry enormous emotional weight. She understood that what a character wears is part of what a character means. The result is a wardrobe choice that functions as a scene. Viewers absorb the bears standing in the league, in the neighborhood, in the world, the instant they see that jersey. A bail bondsman is not just a funny detail. It is a statement about which kids get corporate sponsorship and which kids get whoever returns their calls. It is a joke and a thesis statement simultaneously, stitched onto the backs of children too young to fully understand either one. Making that world feel genuine and lived in turned out to be harder on the production than anyone anticipated. Number 11. The sun-baked, dusty San Fernando Valley diamond feels like every sweltering Little League afternoon you ever sat through as a kid. That heat is not just atmosphere. For the cast and crew, it was a daily production problem. The shoot battled brutal valley heat and smog throughout filming, and the child cast bore the brunt of it. Keeping that many young performers functional in extreme outdoor conditions required an infrastructure most films do not need. Producers maintained air-conditioned dressing rooms, kept medical staff on standby, ensured adequate fluids throughout, and stationed a social worker on set for the entire production. Director Michael Ritchie anticipated the difficulty. According to the AFI catalog, citing the New York Times, Ritchie expected to shoot 350,000 feet of film, the combined total of his previous two pictures. The reason was straightforward. Controlling a cast of children in those conditions meant a camera that essentially never stopped rolling. Every spontaneous, chaotic moment you love in this film, the stumbles, the arguments, the moments when the kids seem to forget the camera is there, was purchased with enormous rolls of film and an extensive support structure keeping those children working safely in the valley heat. The loose, natural energy was not free. It cost significant resources to capture. And the field where all of it unfolded had its own unusual story. Number 10. Watch any scene on the Bears' home diamond and it feels rooted. It feels like a field worn down by 100 seasons of kids who did not quite make the cut. That permanence is one of the quiet pleasures of the film. It turns out to be entirely fictional. Production designer Polly Platt had the baseball diamond at Mason Park in Chatsworth specially constructed for the production, built for the film and nothing else. According to the AFI catalog, citing the Los Angeles Herald-Examiner, local Chatsworth authorities who permitted the construction attached one condition: the field had to be dismantled once filming wrapped. Their concern was that the dugouts would become a gathering spot for local teenagers. So Platt and director Michael Ritchie built a location designed to feel permanent while knowing from the first day that it was temporary. Every shot of that diamond was captured on a set scheduled for demolition. The field was gone before the film reached theaters. The thing that feels like the center of a neighborhood, the place where the whole season unfolds, existed only for the length of the shoot. That sense of rooted permanence was engineered by a production designer who was already planning the teardown the whole time. And the girl standing on that mound of that temporary field almost was not Tatum O'Neal at all. Number 9. By this point in the countdown, you know that Amanda Wurlitzer's pitching required a stunt double and weeks of training just to look convincing. What you may not know is that there was a version of this casting where none of that would have been necessary. Christy McNichol was seriously considered for the role. Producer Stanley R. Jaffe was direct about her ability, noting that McNichol could throw the ball like a guy, a natural arm that Tatum O'Neal simply did not have. When it came to pure athletic credibility, it was not a close comparison. But athletic credibility was not what the producers were optimizing for. O'Neal's post-Paper Moon profile, paired with Matthau at the top of the billing, gave the film a commercial foundation McNichol could not offer at that point in her career. Box office calculation won over physical authenticity. Here's what that decision meant in practice. The stunt double, the careful camera placement, the weeks of training that still could not fully close the gap. All of it flows from choosing star power over the most believable arm available. Every time Amanda winds up and delivers a strike, you are watching the downstream consequence of a deliberate trade-off. Real athletic ability lost to box office calculation, and the production managed the result throughout the shoot. Once cameras rolled, the most startling moment on set turned out to be something nobody had planned for at all. All right, we're at the halfway mark, and things get wilder from here. Before we hit the top 7, I want to hear from you. What's your favorite The Bad News Bears moment? Drop it in the comments, and if you're enjoying this, smash that like button and subscribe. It helps the channel grow. Number 8, there's a moment late in The Bad News Bears that stops the film cold. Yankees coach Roy Turner strikes his own son Joey on the mound during the championship game. It is the film's darkest beat and its most damning portrait of the win-at-all-costs adult. It also turns out to be more real than anyone watching could have known. Actor Brandon Cruz, who played Joey Turner, stated in a 2016 interview that the slap was not carefully choreographed. It genuinely connected. Cruz recalled that Vic Morrow was about a foot closer than he had been during rehearsal and put everything he had into it. Cruz described Walter Matthau as warm and generous with the young cast. Morrow was a different experience. Cruz found him distant and unsettling on set and noted that Morrow seemed to lean into the discomfort rather than protect the child actor working opposite him. The cruelty in that moment hits harder than most comparable scenes from the era because it does not read as a performance. The audience senses something real occurred, even without knowing the story. Joey's flinch and shock are not acting choices. They are a real child reacting to a real impact. That scene carries its weight because the weight was real. The adult lead, meanwhile, built chemistry with the kids through his own very different methods. Number 7. Banter between Morris Buttermaker and his team is one of the great pleasures of the Bad News Bears. It feels like a relationship that existed for years before the film starts. The ease is real, the warmth underneath the gruffness is real, and the reason it reads that way is that Walter Matthau worked at it off camera. Producer Stanley R. Jaffe described it plainly. He's a curmudgeon, but he's got a heart as big as this world. He was like the Pied Piper. The kids took to him, and it was wonderful for the movie. Matthau improvised freely, and director Michael Ritchie was smart enough to preserve the spontaneity. Jackie Earle Haley later revealed that Matthau would occasionally sneak the kids small sips of beer on set, which is either completely irresponsible or perfectly in character for Morris Buttermaker, depending on your perspective. Matthau also brought his close friend Jack Lemmon to visit the production, a moment the child actors held on to for years. The warmth between Buttermaker and his players was not assembled in the edit room. It was built between takes by a 55-year-old character actor who genuinely liked these children. That off-camera behavior transferred directly into the performance. The dugout scenes feel unscripted because they essentially were, and the kids cast around him were chosen specifically because they were not polished performers. Number 6. Watch any group scene involving the Bears and something is immediately different from most films featuring child actors. They talk over each other, drop things, and argue the way real children argue, with too much emotion and not quite enough logic. They fumble through scenes in ways that feel genuinely uncontrolled. That was the whole idea. Director Michael Ritchie deliberately filled the team with largely inexperienced children selected for natural, unpolished energy over formal training. One detail captures the casting philosophy perfectly. Aaron Blunt reportedly landed his role in part because he was the only kid at the Paramount auditions who did not arrive wearing a baseball uniform. Every other child came prepared to perform the part. Blunt just arrived as himself, and that was exactly what Ritchie wanted. Cinematographer John A. Alonzo, fresh off an Academy Award nomination for Chinatown, shot the film in a raw documentary-influenced style designed to match that casting approach. The camera did not impose polish. It found the kids where they were. Ritchie let the children be children rather than directing them toward clean performances. Combined with the 350,000 feet of film he shot, that approach gave him genuine moments buried inside hours of controlled chaos. Critics praised the cast as utterly realistic, and the realism was not luck. It was a production philosophy built in from the first audition. Even the music threading through those raw performances was hiding a completely unexpected secret. Number 5. There is a piece of music in the Bad News Bears that you cannot stop yourself from humming once you have heard it. It plays under the games, it underscores the team's stumbling progress, and it has a quality that is hard to name exactly. It is triumphant and slightly absurd simultaneously. It makes a 26-0 loss feel, against all logic, oddly heroic. Here is what that music actually is. Composer Jerry Fielding did not write an original sports theme. He adapted the work of 19th century French opera composer Georges Bizet, drawing specifically from Carmen, then recorded the adapted score on Paramount's Stage M. Fielding was not a light entertainer. He was a 3-time Academy Award nominee whose most prominent work included intense scores for films like The Wild Bunch and Straw Dogs. Pairing that sensibility with bumbling Little League Baseball was a deliberate ironic choice, and the irony is built into every note. Grand opera applied to children playing badly in a dusty valley park does two things at once. It mocks the Bears by placing their stumbling reality against something majestic, and it honors them by insisting their struggle deserves music this serious. That jaunty baseball theme is a rearrangement of one of the most celebrated operas ever written. The joke works whether you catch it or not. The film's most adult-looking prop, meanwhile, was completely fake. Number 4. One of the things that made the Bad News Bears feel genuinely wild for a 1976 film about children was the beer. Buttermaker drinks it constantly. The kids handle it, reference it, and in the final celebration they appear to spray and chug from bottles with abandon. Actor Gary Lee Cavagnaro later confirmed the obvious thing that still surprises people. The bottles the kids were drinking from contained ginger ale. The adult prop was entirely constructed for the camera. The real controversy around the film had nothing to do with what was in the bottles. It had everything to do with what was coming out of the kids' mouths. According to the AFI catalog citing Bailey Variety, the Little League of America filed an official complaint with Paramount over the profanity used by the child cast throughout the production. Paramount's Richard Silbert was not moved. He called the film charming and described the language as part of the fun of it. A studio spokesman later acknowledged openly that a high-profile protest from the Little League would probably generate exactly the kind of publicity that sells tickets. The kids' drunken celebration was powered entirely by soda. The genuine scandal surrounding the film was purely verbal. And the biggest single change the movie underwent had already happened before any of this, on the page, before a frame was shot. Number 3. The Bears vs. the Yankees in the championship game is the sequence the whole film builds toward. The stakes feel earned because we have spent the whole film with these kids. Tanner's fury, Kelly's speed, Amanda's arm, all of it converges in that finale. It is a tight, emotionally satisfying piece of filmmaking. It was also not what Bill Lancaster originally wrote. In Lancaster's original screenplay, the final third had almost nothing to do with the Bears as a team. The back half was built around Kelly Leak's run-ins with California law enforcement. The championship game, as audiences know it, did not exist. Producer Stanley R. Jaffe was unequivocal. We changed the whole last half of the picture from the script that I was presented with. The original screenplay focused on the Kelly Leak character and his troubles with the law. It had nothing to do with the Bad News Bears. Lancaster accepted the intervention and redirected the climax back toward the team. The rewrite was not a polish. It was a structural overhaul of the entire back half of the film. Without Jaffe's decision to intervene, there is no championship game. The entire emotional architecture of the third act was built after the original script was set aside. The sequence you grew up watching exists because a producer said the movie was going in the wrong direction. And even with the right ending in place, the film came within one executive's preference of losing it entirely. Number 2. The ending of The Bad News Bears is one of the reasons the film has lasted. The Bears lose the championship game. They celebrate anyway. Tanner Boyle tells the Yankees exactly where they can put their sportsmanship. It lands with the kind of emotional weight a clean victory never could have achieved. That ending almost did not happen. An alternate ending was actually shot in which the Bears defeated the Yankees, and the footage went into test screenings. Evidence from the alternate shoot is still visible in the finished film. During an earlier win sequence, careful viewers can spot a Yankee catcher in the celebration footage, an image that belongs to the victory shoot and not the scene it ended up in. It is a continuity artifact from the road, not taken. Paramount studio chief Barry Diller screened the film at a preview and delivered his note directly. According to producer Stanley R. Jaffe, Diller said, "I want them to win it." Jaffe refused. "It's not happening. It's not about winning. It's about trying." Jaffe held the line, and the losing ending stayed. A victory would have made the Bad News Bears a conventional underdog story, confirmed every comfortable expectation about how these films end, and been forgotten inside a decade. Find the Yankee catcher in the wrong scene, and you are looking at a ghost of the ending the studio chief wanted. That act of resistance is the reason this film is still being discussed today. Number 1. Tanner Boyle telling the Yankees what he thinks of their trophy while the Bears spray ginger ale in defeat. Ragged, loud, completely un-Hollywood, and one of the most emotionally true endings in sports cinema. It also represented a genuine commercial risk nobody could be certain would pay off. Releasing a major Paramount picture in the summer of 1976 with the heroes definitively losing the final game was not a safe decision. Studio executives worried audiences would leave feeling cheated. That fear was not irrational. The summer crowd pleaser was supposed to please the crowd. The gamble paid off. The film grossed approximately $42.3 million domestically against an estimated $9 million budget, making it one of the biggest successes Paramount had that year. Roger Ebert awarded it 4 stars and named it among the best films of 1976. Matthau's restrained performance and Bill Lancaster's refusal to give audiences a comfortable resolution made the loss feel earned rather than bleak. Director Michael Ritchie held the line alongside Jaffe against studio pressure that could have softened everything into formula. The decision created a template. Films built around dignity and defeat, around effort over outcome, trace a direct line back to this ending. The Bears did not take home the championship. They won something that has held up for nearly 5 decades. The ending hits harder every time once you know how close it came to being replaced by exactly what everybody expected. The Bad News Bears endures because it told the truth about kids, losing, and what adults do in the name of winning. Behind it sat a rewritten final act, a brutal location shoot, a third-choice lead, a stunt double pitcher, and a studio chief who wanted a different ending. An opera score, a temporary ball field, an improvisational star, a losing finale held against pressure. None of it was guaranteed. The safe version with the obvious casting and the happy ending would have been forgotten inside a decade. If this video surprised you, drop your favorite fact in the comments. Like, subscribe, and share this with someone who loves this movie as much as you do. And as always, keep your eye on the ball and remember that how you play the game counts for something. We'll see you next time.